In 2006, Wisconsin football made a decision that looked small on paper. They didn't hire a coach, they didn't choose a system, they didn't lock in an identity. In this alternate timeline, that single non-decision quietly reshapes two conferences, reroutes a coaching career, destabilizes the Big Ten's internal balance, and helps accelerate the super conference era. And if you're here for ripple effects, not nostalgia, not box scores, this story is for you. Before we go any further, be clear, this is an alternate history. Same sport, same incentives, one different fork. And this fork matters because nationally, Wisconsin wasn't just another job in 2006. It was a keystone program, a place where identity, development, and conference stability intersected. When that keystone shifts, structures above it move too. In this universe, Wisconsin does not hire Bret Bielema, not because of scandal, not because of ideology, but because leadership convinces itself it can shortcut continuity. And instead of locking in what it already has, Wisconsin decides to experiment. Wait, this is where it breaks. Wisconsin doesn't just miss out on a coach, it abandons the one thing that insulated it from national volatility, clarity of purpose. And when a program like Wisconsin loses clarity, the shock doesn't stay local. Wisconsin makes an absolute disaster hire in Tim Brewster. On paper, it looks bold. Recruiting energy, modern pitch, new tone. But structurally, it's very incompatible. Wisconsin's edge was never charisma, it was development, patience, and institutional alignment. Brewster's approach doesn't fail loudly, it fails quietly. Offensive line regression, cultural drift, close losses that feel inexplicable. The program still bowls, which is exactly what makes the damage harder to diagnose. Meanwhile, Bret Bielema does not disappear. He ends up getting hired at Iowa State, and here's why that matters. Iowa State didn't need a rebrand, it needed gravity. Bielema brought structure, defense, and something Iowa State has never had consistently, a reason opponents don't relax. By the late 2000s, Iowa State stops being background noise in the Big 12. That alone changes scheduling psychology, bowl math, and administrative competence, which now leads us to zoom out to conference level consequences. Wisconsin's instability weakens the middle class of the Big Ten. Iowa quietly absorbs Wisconsin's old role as the conference's identity anchor. Michigan State rises faster. Ohio State faces less internal resistance. At the same time, Iowa State's rise stabilizes the Big 12 just enough to delay collapse, but not enough to remove that anxiety. This is the paradox. Wisconsin's decline creates imbalance. Iowa State's rise delays reckoning. Conferences don't implode yet, they stretch. And then Wisconsin tries to correct. Wisconsin fires Brewster and swings back toward structure, hiring Dave Doran. The program stabilizes, and that's the problem. Stability without fear is invisibility. Later, Wisconsin overcorrects again, hiring Tom Herman to chase modernity it no longer controls. Results improve, identity doesn't. Wisconsin becomes competent in an era that now punishes just mere competence. And then Bielema cashes in the window. By the mid-2010s, Bielema's Iowa State tenure has done something radical. It proves you can build leverage without glamour, and that's why LSU calls. In the SEC, Bielema becomes the anti-spread answer to Alabama. Not dominant, but disruptive. And disruption is often more stabilizing than dominance. And then Wisconsin panics again. As super conference logic accelerates, they panic again, hiring Matt Campbell. It's the right hire, but the timing is horrible. Campbell fixes culture, not gravity, and by now gravity belongs to brands, not builders. Wisconsin survives the reshuffle, but only as inventory as super conferences emerge. When the sport consolidates, it, it doesn't do so because of greed alone. It does so because internal balance eroded first. Wisconsin's early instability mattered. Iowa State's rise mattered. Bielema's delayed exit mattered. They weren't headlines, they were pressure changes. So, what's the legacy? Wisconsin didn't collapse. Iowa State didn't become a dynasty. Bret Bielema didn't break the sport. But one decision not to choose shifted who mattered, who waited, and who survived the next era. And the unsettling question isn't what Wisconsin lost, it's how many programs are still making the same mistake, thinking delay is neutral. Because in college football, hesitation is never passive. And if you enjoyed that alternate history deep dive between Bret Bielema, Wisconsin, Iowa State, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time off the timeline.